The rush of rage that renders one's eyes to go red with anger. That feeling, those moments that we have all experienced, are all encapsulated in the Red Hulk. There have essentially been two Red Hulks in Marvel canon, though the most enduring of these is General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, the military officer most often antagonizing Dr. Bruce Banner's attempts to control his own temper. Ross is personally invested. His daughter, Betty, is very often romantically involved with Banner. This bitterness is on full display when Ross embraces the outlandish and transforms himself into the Red Behemoth that so perfectly mirrors the Incredible Hulk. This story has twists and turns and introduces the question, is the journey of the Red Hulk evidence of the good within Thunderbolt Ross or the bad? Who is Thunderbolt Ross? General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross is arguably the arch nemesis of the Incredible Hulk, having antagonized the Green Goliath since the days where he was still the Grey Goliath. First appearing in Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Incredible Hulk #1 back in 1962, Ross is depicted as a militaristic wing overseeing the G-bomb experiments being conducted by Dr. Bruce Banner. But it would take General Ross another 20 years to receive a proper origin story in Incredible Hulk #291. And to be fair, it does not disappoint, imbuing the failed leader with a complexity of conscience that I honestly feel has been lost in a lot of subsequent portrayals. Having had relatives in every single major American conflict since the Civil War, Ross followed suit by serving in both World War II and the Korean War. As the comic explains, as a baby, Thaddeus was soothed to sleep by tales of valor. As a boy, he immersed himself in military history. As a young man, he enlisted and graduated first among his class. It was only natural. He proved a quick and capable captain during World War II, earning his famous, or infamous nickname, Thunderbolt, from those under his command. He impressed enough superiors to land a promotion to the offices of the Pentagon, while simultaneously falling in love and fathering his own daughter, Elizabeth, whom they'd call Betty. Unfortunately, though she'd prove more influential on her father later, Betty's birth didn't exactly strike a chord with Ross. The peace he'd fought for was a worse enemy than the Japanese, and not even the birth of his daughter Betty aroused such excitement in him as he knew that he'd been called to combat again. The man that would so aggressively pursue the Hulk many years later would find himself shaped by the child he abandoned for the combat zone. Betty would later befriend and fall for Dr. Bruce Banner, the scientist responsible for the Gamma Bomb, and the eventual Hulk of Thunderbolt's ire. This would occur during Ross's oversight of Banner's testing of the aforementioned bomb and serve to highlight a key characteristic of Ross. He trusts himself and his gut above everyone else, as he candidly expresses to Banner, "The trouble with you is you're a milksop. You've got no guts. They should have put me in charge of this test. By thunder, it would have been done by now." As viewers are no doubt realizing, Ross's nickname is also in reference to his ill temper and impulsive attitude. But perhaps a larger point rests in how this quote manages to foreshadow Ross's eventual transformation into the Red Hulk. He wanted to be put in charge of the test that would inadvertently yield the Incredible Hulk. And well, he gets his chance of possessing his enemy's power when he becomes the Red Goliath later on. However, it is no doubt a more complicated affair than Banner's exposure to Gamma, as Ross's embrace of his own monster within involves nearly taking on the entirety of Hulk's rogues gallery, not to mention the likes of the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Thunderbolt always needs a war to fight and is certainly courting one here. But before we go any further, be sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like. Plotter Comics is a brand new channel and we appreciate all the support we can get. Chapter 1. Abomination. The Abomination is dead. Apparently off by the Hulk as far as Doc Samson, a life model decoy of General Ross, Iron Man, Maria Hill, and She-Hulk can tell. These heroes are investigating the ruins of a village destroyed by a barbarous brawl between Abomination and Hulk, but something seems off to Samson. The footprints supposedly belonging to Hulk are so radioactive that they are literally scorching the ground, turning the soil into glass. Hulk's simply never been this irradiated. Plus, the body of Blonsky reveals that he was not killed by blunt force or trauma, but gunshots discharged from a large pistol. I mean, I've never seen the Hulk use a gun. Samson's final analysis? It was more than a beating. This was a punishment. He more than likely cracked the skull, intent on putting the victim down. There would be no mercy. Finally, the dreary scene ends on perhaps the most haunting image of all. A young survivor of the Tussle of Titans who managed to utter a single word. Red. It is a vengeful murder scene. Abomination had earlier killed Betty and had undoubtedly earned her father's ire. Hill, Iron Man, and She-Hulk report to the SHIELD helicarrier to further examine the literal smoking gun. Although they don't get much time before Red Hulk ambushes She-Hulk. With the most pressing physical threat subdued, Rulk then moves to destroy the carrier's power core. Iron Man tries to stop him, but the raging beast is simply too powerful. He leaps off of the helicarrier as it gradually plummets to the Manhattan skyline below. Meanwhile, the Hulk's frequent sidekick Rick Jones is trying to make it to the Gamma base in New Mexico, ground zero for everything Hulk. He is ambushed by Red Hulk, an apparent specialty of his, but things go a little better for Jones. He debuts a new monstrous form reminiscent of an armadillo, A-Bomb, which is pretty fitting because Rick Jones definitely bombs here as any sort of threat to Red Hulk. As the two fight, a brief scuffle at the base's entryway teases readers with Red Hulk's identity. The retinal scanners that usually greet staff and visitors nearly reveal Ross's secret before he smashes them to bits. Red Hulk's immensely powerful blows begin to crack the planet, coincidentally destroying a part of Banner's holding cell within. The Hulk is unleashed, leaping to the surface to confront this red imposter. Frankly, the fights that Red Hulk participates in over the next few issues are stunning in scope and legendary in displays of power. Red Hulk pounces on Uatu the Watcher when the cosmic being descends to observe the battle between the two giants. And admittedly, I chuckled at the sheer brutality of this attack. Hulk tries to save the Watcher but is met with his very own beatdown. Red Hulk breaks the giant's arm and drags him to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge to execute him, employing the murder weapon previously used on Abomination. Before he can, though, a bolt of lightning erupts behind him. Verily, the God of Thunder has arrived. This night you will fall before my hammer, so swears the mighty Thor. But instead of falling, Red Hulk commandeers Mjolnir in the vacuum of space, disposing of the Thunder God on the moon. Then, in one leap, Red Hulk returns to Earth. But he triggers the San Andreas fault, which quickly attracts the attention of various other heroes. Despite this, Hulk confronts his Red rival alone at first, but promptly receives backup from a reinvigorated Thor. Upon observing Red Hulk's footprints in the desert sand, he concludes that the angrier the beast grows, the hotter he gets. Hulk works to further exacerbate Red Hulk's temper, and finally, the Red Hulk collapses due to the heat. In the aftermath of the battle, Doc Samson and the life model decoy of General Ross approach the collapsed behemoth. You failed us, and worse, you failed yourself. You're on your own now. Despite these mysterious parting words, Red Hulk carries on and eventually comes across She-Hulk's Lady Liberators atop Mount Rushmore. The resulting battle takes Abraham Lincoln's head clean off the monument, but Red Hulk is brought down when a who's who of different female superheroes arrives to back up the Lady Liberators. However, Red Hulk kidnaps Thundra, a member of the Liberators, and subsequently convinces her to join him. I'm not the Green Hulk, a beast, a mindless thing. I have a plan. I get what I want. And everybody wants something, even you, Thundra. Ironically, this kidnapping turns out to yield a rather productive partnership. Thundra would return to assist Red Hulk during the fall of the Hulks. Don't worry guys, we'll get there. Chapter 2, The Offender. So Hulk gets kidnapped. How does one go about taking a Hulk against their will? By being an Elder of the Universe. The Grandmaster and Collector are putting together teams to face each other. As Grandmaster plainly states, there will be a competition, a game where one team lives and one team dies. The reward for the Grandmaster's team, should they be victorious, is the resurrection of their lost loves. In Hulk's case, it is Queen Jarella of K, whom he met during his days in the Microverse. The hero recruits his Defenders colleagues, Doctor Strange, Namor the Submariner, and the Silver Surfer. The Collector, taking advantage of his brother's champion's choices, recruits villains specifically to counter them. Consequently, Red Hulk serves on the Collector squad alongside Baron Mordo, Terrax, and Tiger Shark, and christen themselves the Offenders, as apparently the gamma radiation didn't elevate Ross's creativity. Both Hulks are teleported to the throne room of Atlantis, the Elder's chosen arena for their brawl. It's just the two of them, and they have plenty of time for some heart-to-heart, including an epic deconstruction of Red Hulk from the mouth of his nemesis. You agreed to be the Collector's puppet for something as petty as revenge? You've talked like you're this unstoppable force, that you approach battle with tactics and strategy. How are you not a reckless beast like I would be without Banner's, my mind, in control? And I think you've stumbled upon what it means to be a proper villain, Hulk. Not only has Thunderbolt Ross become a physical reflection of Hulk, but his rage is certainly as uncontrollable, if not more than Banner's. Another trait of a great villain is the ability to win every now and then, which is exactly what Red Hulk succeeds in doing. He can't enter the Atlantean throne room without the Trident of Neptune being wielded, first by Hulk, and then brutally by Red Hulk. Turning down his enemy's invitation to ally themselves and take on the Elders together, Red Hulk impales Banner with the Trident. It's complete carnage from here, with Red Hulk traveling to every other battle of the competition and cleaning house. He pulls no punches, wiping out defenders and offenders alike. Once he topples the Silver Surfer and absorbs his power, there's seemingly no stopping Red Hulk from soaring off into space on Norrin Radd's surfboard. Galactus takes immediate issue with Red Hulk's taunts, though they are admittedly badass. "Bring it on, Galactus. I punched out a Watcher and that was before I had the Surfer's power." Galactus does in fact bring it on, and takes the Power Cosmic back from Red Hulk, leaving the Bruce Banner Hulk to send his enemy hurtling through space with a single punch. And I reckon he doesn't spend that time rethinking his actions, as Red Hulk shortly returns to perpetrate his most sinister scheme yet. Chapter 3. AIM. Red Hulk is back, somehow. That's not really made clear, but he receives a major upgrade after reporter Ben Urich investigates a tip given to him by She-Hulk. Informed that her cousin Bruce is currently in the custody of Gamma Base and under the supervision of Thunderbolt Ross, She-Hulk approaches the reporter about digging into the allegations. Urich decides to bring photographer Peter Parker along to the base, which is revealed to be under the control of the controversial organization Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM. Escorted in by their inside man, Doc Samson, the group happens upon MODOK and the life model decoy General Ross observing experiments being conducted on A-Bomb, as well as the body of Bruce suspended in a Bacta tank. Testing on Gamma mutates is the primary objective here, which perhaps explains why Samson subsequently turns into Gamma form and tackles She-Hulk through the vent they are spying through. This alerts everyone in the room, including MODOK, but Urich's words when he sees the Red Hulk sends chills down my spine. Suddenly, in all this bedlam, there he was, the Red Hulk. It all happened so quickly, but I swear his body heat, it was like being near a furnace. I'd seen the Green Hulk before, but this one, something in those yellow eyes, and anger unlike anything I've ever known. Thankfully, Spider-Man appears to rescue Urich, but readers know what to expect when Red Hulk and Bruce Banner are in the same room. And the Gamma Giants clash does not disappoint, with major fisticuffs thrown, but Red Hulk takes things a step further. Using his increasingly unstable Gamma power, Red Hulk drains Banner of his radiation and consequently of his Hulk. It's a gripping moment that sees the scientist reduced to a skeletal frame beneath the towering inferno that is the Red Hulk. The base goes critical and the Gamma reactor overloads. Spider-Man rescues Urich while A-Bomb carries Banner to safety. Meanwhile, Red Hulk stays near Samson and She-Hulk, his intentions no doubt unpleasant. For good measure, he decides to pay the ever-fortunate Urich a visit and ensure that what he observed at Gamma Base simply didn't happen. Urich would not report it thanks to Red Hulk's barbarous threat. "Do you know how many buildings were knocked down the last time the Hulk went on a rampage? 20? 10? Let's say it was only 1. What if it were the building where everyone at Frontline works?" As I imagine most of us would react if threatened by Red Hulk, Urich resorts to bitterly typing the events at Gamma Base into a typewriter, bound for his own personal collection of buried leads and lost stories. Chapter 4. Code Red. For a mutant with the powers of fortune, Domino has super bad luck. She's caught up in the conspiracy surrounding Red Hulk's identity, but nothing compares to Red Hulk's luck when Domino begins tracking him following a heated exchange with Doc Samson. She witnesses his transformation into Red Hulk, though is unable to identify his human form beforehand. Nevertheless, this puts Domino in grave danger after Red Hulk notices her snooping. This development spurs Samson and the life model decoy Ross to assemble a personal strike force for Red Hulk consisting of an assortment of vigilantes. Designated Code Red, this squad is made up of Crimson Dynamo, Deadpool, Elektra, Punisher, and Thundra, returning to Red Hulk's fold after a prolonged absence. The team moves to confront Domino in a bar in Hell's Kitchen, meeting the mutant's own personal backup, X-Force, consisting of Archangel, Warpath, Wolverine, and X-23. In a homage to Wolverine's rivalry with the J-Giant, the ill-tempered mutant engages in a fierce battle with Red Hulk, managing to blind him at one point with his claws. As the fighting continues, Elektra expresses her skepticism about the entire episode to Domino during a scuffle, particularly the surprise appearance of the mutants. X-Force wasn't part of the plan. I don't believe in coincidence. What if someone knew about us and knew all about you? What if this was all a setup? Domino isn't given a chance to respond because Deadpool and Warpath's fight ends up igniting a gas stove and leveling the bar. Red Hulk and Thundra crawl from the wreckage only to be greeted by a familiar yet simultaneously foreign sight, a red She-Hulk saving them from the aggressive advances of Wolverine. X-Force isn't through with the members of Code Red just yet, but Red Hulk abandons the battlefield to tag along with Red She-Hulk through the subway tunnels. It is during this reprieve from the fight that the two Hulks share an insightful moment. Red Hulk recounts a fable about a king and 6 blind men that illustrates being misunderstood. Red She-Hulk has no problem understanding it. Someone I love told that fable to me. He's dead to me now. Eventually nursing a grudge, she, along with the rest of Code Red, betrays Red Hulk to Doc Samson and even kicks him off the Empire State Building. However, Thundra remains loyal to Red Hulk and even encourages him to pay the members of Code Red as he promised, despite their, shall we say, spotty work. Double-crossing assumedly doesn't earn one a great review on LinkedIn. Chapter 5: Fall of the Hulks. Does every villain slowly become the hero? Red Hulk is certainly living long enough to see himself become the latter when he rebounds with a visit to an AIM facility in partnership with A-Bomb. They're initially greeted by clones of MODOK but soon stumble upon what must be their prize, a deactivated android Hulk, powered by a perennial data loop called the Cosmos Automaton. They find a device that begins to explain the Hulkbot, but Red Hulk loses patience fast. One simply need not explain to Thunderbolt Ross the dangers of a Hulk. I get it. It's alien, it's powerful, it doesn't need to ever come on again. Maybe I'll leave the android's head in MODOK's bed, Godfather style. But he never gets a chance. Thanks to Red Hulk emitting intense amounts of radiation, the android Hulk awakens, pummeling the intruders, then exits by leaping through the ceiling. MODOK and the leader, Hulk's enemies that initially turned the terse General Ross into the Red Hulk and make up the group Intelligentsia, taunt their former ally before initiating the destruction of the facility. With this android Hulk on the loose, Red Hulk and A-Bomb collaborate with the Hulkless Bruce Banner and Thundra. The latter stashes time-traveling equipment in a desert abode for Red Hulk and his allies' usage. Before she uses it to return to her own timeline, Thundra shares a moment with her loyal partner. You're not a monster. Somewhere in all that rage is a noble being, and I'm the only one who knows it. As the two share a kiss goodbye. Immediately upon sending Thundra back, Red Hulk is attacked by A-Bomb. The sidekick conditioned by Intelligentsia to aid their plans collides with Red Hulk spectacularly before Banner intervenes. Thanks to the fact that he is no longer capable of getting all that angry, Banner utilizes Redeemer armor, capable of withstanding even the blast of the Hulks. While the android Hulk, now known as the Cosmic Hulk, remains under Intelligentsia's control, Banner and Red Hulk transmit a false glimpse of the future to the villain's Gamma Droid. This would disrupt their plans but not outright derail them. Plus, Red Hulk will get his revenge on the Cosmic Jade Giant. Interlude. Is there another Red Hulk? This is the Tom Selleck Hulk. It fits, but General Robert Maverick is certainly qualified for the position of Red Hulk, given military generals are kind of the standard. Once AIM folds into S.H.I.E.L.D., they become advanced intelligence mechanics and begin developing human weapons and enhancements. One of these is a Hulk plugin, which is promptly given to General Maverick and he becomes the new Red Hulk. Granted, at this time, Ross is depowered at this point and more than likely rotting in a military prison, so the title is up for grabs. A stark difference between the two versions of Red Hulk lies in their respective human states. Ross would return to his normal appearance while Maverick's skin would remain red. His run in the comics is rather unremarkable until, ironically, his final stand as Red Hulk. With his plug-in running dry, Maverick equips an enormous suit of Iron Patriot armor in order to combat a resurrected Hulk from attacking Avengers HQ. Despite his hardware upgrade, Hulk beats Red Hulk pretty easily and drains his Hulk plug-in. But don't worry, Quicksilver manages to get him to safety afterward thanks to Vision's distraction of the Jade Giant. Chapter 6: World War Hulks. It's time to take the fight to the Intelligentsia. Red Hulk continues his anti-heroic streak when he contacts Banner at a diner, hoping his former foe will help him in taking down his old allies. He leaps aboard their helicarrier and faces the Gamma Droid, which manages to injure Red Hulk, but does not put him down for good yet. He overpowers the droid but is greeted by a much deadlier foe, the Cosmic Hulk, the same android that so effortlessly dispatched both Red Hulk and A-Bomb previously. Things are no different here, as Red Hulk is easily beaten into submission by the android and placed in a Bacta tank. This is not working to heal the ruffian, however. It is instead siphoning Red Hulk's Gamma signature and storing it for distribution later. However, hell arrives when the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men arrive to back up Red Hulk. Taking their chance, the Intelligentsia traps the heroes inside the helicarrier and deploy the gamma radiation. The villain's antics take on a much more destructive tone as every hero, including the Hulk's old pal Thor, is turned into a Hulkish hybrid of themselves and bent on one thing: destroying the Intelligentsia's opponents. Meanwhile, hulked out AIM Marines begin marching on Washington, D.C. Red Hulk overpowers the hulking Spider-Man and Wolverine, but soon meets an old foe, the Red She-Hulk. He uses all of his might to fight her, returning to his human form and inadvertently revealing his identity to not only Red She-Hulk, but Marvel readers. He laments, "I was General Thunderbolt Ross. I became the very thing I hated most in life. I am the Red Hulk, and for all I've done, I deserve to die." Regardless of his self-loathing, Red She-Hulk cannot bring herself to end Thaddeus Ross's life due to one major factor. She is Betty Ross, daughter of Thaddeus and evident heir to the Red Hulk mantle. In a twist worthy of the dysfunctional Ross family, Betty leaves her father on the helicarrier, powerless and at the mercy of the Cosmic Hulk. As the monster crushes him, Thaddeus exploits his ability to absorb energy by leeching the android Hulk's power. The Red Hulk returns, meaner and stronger, and displays his epic prowess by ripping the Cosmic Hulk in half. It is a brilliant image that provides Ross, an older villain working on rehabilitation, his triumphant moment of heroics. Is this a new start for Red Hulk? It seems that way at first, but things take a strange turn. After neutralizing the leader aboard the helicopter, Red Hulk decides to dismantle the Intelligentsia's life model decoy of Colonel Glenn Talbot on a live broadcast from the White House, essentially taking over the group's coup attempt himself.
Yes, people, you can remain calm, because I'm in charge now. In the end, everything is as it should be. I won.
It's the shortest reign in American history, probably. Hulk shows up despite Banner's ability to transform into the Jade Giant seemingly stripped from him earlier. The two fight it out over a couple of landmarks in DC. Fittingly, the now traitorous Red Hulk is subdued via a thunderclap from Hulk, sending the former careening into the Lincoln Memorial. First Lincoln's face on Mount Rushmore, and now this. The symbolism cannot get any clearer, people. Chapter 7: Scorched Earth. Anti-hero. What a joke. Red Hulk is imprisoned in Gamma Base under close surveillance by Bruce Banner. He largely remains in his Red Hulk form and only reverts to General Ross when he is visited by Captain America. The Star-Spangled Avenger may be the lone lightning rod for Thunderbolt's respect, and the former knows it, taking the opportunity to recruit Ross for a targeted mission. The embattled General's old allies, the Intelligentsia, have a series of doomsday weapons that have become active thanks to their coup failing. Their network launches every plan their Intelligentsia ever devised that went unused, usually because they were too devastating. Red Hulk seems adamant about serving his country, but insists that he work alone. He bounds off for his first destination, Silicon Valley, where a technovirus has turned the populace into ravenous zombies. Iron Man arrives to assist, but in his debriefing, it is apparently not specified the color of the Hulk he is supposed to be working with. This leads to a rather unfortunate mix-up, leading Red Hulk to suffer an attack from his supposed ally. Even after the two collaborate successfully and get the job done, Tony still can't let it go. If you expect the benefit of the doubt from anyone, you'll want to go back in time and change the way you've done, everything. The infighting doesn't end there though. Red Hulk is paired up later with perhaps his longest running rival, save for the Hulk himself, Thor. The two come to blows briefly during an excursion to space, and the very same occurs when he assists Namor the Submariner. Ironically, the only hero he seems to get along with swimmingly is Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Ross and Banner have some wonderful dialogue while the former is incarcerated, as well as her giant alter egos teamwork during the final mission. Having Red Hulk not only face his most consistent foe, but the likes of Marvel's Trinity, serves to elevate the character beyond simplicity and imbue him with a distinctly human vulnerability. It aids in allowing readers to empathize with him. So, Banner and Ross are friends now, right? No more fighting, we're all Hulks here. Chapter 8: Power. Watch out, Thanos. The comics have a new Mad Titan, or Titan adjacent. Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, is assembling the Infinity Gems for some troubling purpose, and along the way, he uncovers lost cities, incapacitates behemoths like Red Hulk, and further cements Ross's place in the Avengers. Although Red Hulk's first mission with the heroes was rocky, resulting in some savage brawls and more than a few bruises. It is exceedingly clear the former general is capable, and Earth's mightiest continue to channel his headstrong aggression into a pretty formidable force to be reckoned with. Red Hulk first meets the Hood on the former's own turf, the desert. Readers don't see the fight, but things are promptly made clear when Red Hulk comes crashing through the window of Avengers Tower. As much like the young villager heralding his own inaugural appearance, Red Hulk manages only one word: infinity. In possession of both the power and reality gems, Hood is already in queue for the most powerful being in the known universe. However, the final gem is hidden in the astral plane, and to complicate things further, it has already been found. Now, even non-comic fans can answer this. What other immensely powerful being in the Marvel Universe may be interested in the Infinity Gems, enough to devise a way to reach the astral plane and contend with the Hood for it? It is definitely Thanos. The Mad Titan has already reached the gem, or has he? Turns out it's actually Doctor Strange in disguise, throwing the hood off long enough for them to return to the physical plane. Good thing too. I don't think a wallop from the Power Gem enhanced Red Hulk would have done much in spirit. It separates the hood from the reality gem, though it sends the villain on a tirade against Red Hulk, desperate to reclaim the gems. It turns out that Red Hulk no longer has the gems in his possession. They've been collected on Iron Man's Infinity Gauntlet. With his snap at hand, pun intended, Iron Man whisks Hood back to prison and wills the gauntlet from existence. Red Hulk, for his efforts against the intelligentsia and Hood, is invited to join the Avengers by Captain America no less. And I don't know, I've kind of fallen for Red Hulk's heroic stuff here. Is this time for real? Chapter 9, Revenge Runs Red. Red Hulk can't make any friends, especially not the type to, not try to kill him. Things begin when, all of a sudden, someone actually tries to honor his memory. An old protege of his, General Reggie 14, embarks on a quest for vengeance against the Red Hulk to honor his late mentor. Unfortunately, what Reggie doesn't realize is that his target is his mentor, and it's understandable why he would think that, given Red Hulk had destroyed the life model decoy of Ross during a contrived duel between them. So why not just reveal the truth to his old comrade? It seems to be a combination of concern for his military record as well as simple respect for the guy. He won't have dissent, men calling him Ahab. When he walked out to face me alone, he earned the loyalty till death of every man on that ship. He deserves this fight. And a fight Reggie delivers. He implants nanites into Red Hulk's body that allows him to track the Goliath as well as prevent Red Hulk from safely reverting back to his human form. With the help of the life model decoys at Gamma Base, particularly one named Annie, Red Hulk battles his old protege across Earth, planets, and the space pathways. This chaos endangers the citizens of Earth, obviously, at one point even putting a small town at risk during a tornado. In a heroic effort worthy of the Jade Giant, Red Hulk does away with the natural disaster by thunderclapping it out of existence, all the while constantly looking over his shoulder for Reggie's next attack. It's a wacky turn of events that make up a truly bizarre story for Big Red. In a hilarious homage to one of his earlier stories, Red Hulk is put on blast by Uruku the Watcher on account of his punching out Uatu. Thankfully, Uruku returns Red Hulk free of the nanites to Earth, and life seems to go on, as smoothly as it does for a giant red monster. Chapter 10, Lone Avenger. I'm sure everyone's wondered who would fare better in combat, the Hulk or the Fantastic Four's Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. One's made of pure power, the other of solid rock, and both certainly enjoy their share of clobbering. Unfortunately, Grimm is one of the unlucky citizens transformed by Kull Borson, brother of Odin, when he descends upon Midgard to realize his barbaric vision for the world. The Thing, thanks to a magical hammer from Borson, is now Angrier, the Breaker of Souls, serving Kull's regime as an enforcer of sorts. In this role, Grimm besieges Avengers Tower at a time when the majority of the heroes are elsewhere fighting off other contingents of the invaders. The only one in place to defend is Red Hulk, now suddenly the Lone Avenger, who valiantly contends with Angrier despite how outmatched he is. Observing the battle from his hideout, MODOK Superior, the now upgraded villain, wonders why Red Hulk refuses to use his ability to absorb energy. He discovered that absorption would eventually burn out his ability to transform back into Ross? Why on earth would he care? I can only conclude that he has come to value his humanity more than power. I admit, I did not see that coming. Nor did we, MODOK. After all, it is the very origin of Red Hulk that speaks of the essential nature of power, and said power being in the right hands. Ross has always sought this power to seemingly protect the world from the Jade Giant, but now there's more to his life than that. He begins to travel the anti-heroic path that has led to such rehabilitative success with characters like Magneto and Venom. Ultimately, Red Hulk does not come out of this fight victorious. However, his bravery earns him a coveted place in the minds of his fellow Avengers. Wolverine deems him Avengers material on account of the episode. Finally, the life model decoy from Gamma, Annie, finds him after he crash lands following a blast from Thing's hammer. Annie is concerned with his well-being, but Red Hulk puts those to rest immediately. Did I at least break his hammer? Chapter 11, Red Hulk No More. All things must come to an end. Alas, that is where we have arrived with Red Hulk when Banner's new super genius alter ego, Doc Green, creates a cure for the Hulk condition. Perpetually bound by the Hippocratic Oath, Banner decides to gift this cure to the other Hulks remaining on Earth. He gets the A-Bomb, Red She-Hulk, and Scar, his own son, but finds curing Red Hulk considerably more complicated. Catching wind of Doc Green's intentions thanks to his previous victims, Red Hulk catches up with him in San Francisco. I have a plan to
eliminate Hulks too, but I don't think you're gonna like it.
He breaks his arm and nearly obliterates Green, but hustles off before he can finish him. Taking up residence in a nuclear waste facility, Red Hulk hopes to absorb the radioactive energy in the event that Doc Green does manage to cure him. Green makes his way there with the assistance of Deadpool and battles it out once again with Red Hulk. However, the Merc with the Mouth's contract isn't up yet. He fires a projectile that disperses a chemical mixture into Red Hulk's bloodstream, making him unable to absorb energy as he usually does. With the nearby radioactive waste now worthless, Red Hulk is eventually overpowered by a furious Doc Green and cured via an injection. Red Hulk promptly reverts to Ross, who wonders aloud what is next. Green's reply probably made the hairs on Ross's neck stand up. It's quite simple. Now you answer for your crimes. Thunderbolt Ross is taken into custody and confined to a military prison, a journey that has come full circle. A ranking officer in the military, given to irrational action or selfless ambition, can become a ranking officer in a military cell. In observing Ross's journey as Red Hulk, readers may feel conflicted over whether to classify him as either a hero or villain. Frankly, I still believe there is good in Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, but even I can't defend some of the lengths he has gone to in order to attain power. He is a villain simultaneously blinded and empowered by rage, the color of which seems to emanate from his ruby skin and hellish yellow eyes. I have been Sliceable Otaku of Plot Armor Comics. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.